Hi, I'm Aaron, and welcome to another video from AM Performance. So for this one, me and my family decided to head out to the Gold Coast, visit some of the theme parks, take a little bit of a holiday, and we ended up bringing along our Kia EV6 for the trip. The EV6 is a fabulous looking new Kia electric vehicle. They call it a crossover, though it's kind of more of a cross between a crossover, a hatchback, and a station wagon. And we'll find out how it goes. Can you road trip an EV across Australia these days? So for planning and such, we used primarily a pair of apps called ABRP, a Better Route Planner, as well as PlugShare. Combine that with information from Google Maps and then plug it into the car's navigation system, and off we go. All right, so the first thing we've got to do is, of course, pack the car with all the stuff we need to bring along. So in this case, the EV6 claims 480 liters of space, which isn't a ton, but is pretty average for a mid-size 5-seater SUV. Plenty of space for a family of 4 on a week-long trip. Now I've just got some more small tools. We'll put them up in the EV6's 54-liter frunk, or fruit, whichever you call, which we also got some various other things. We've got a battery jumper in case the 12-volt drains. We've got our V2L adapter, a tire mobility kit, as well as a bunch of various charging adapters and cables and such. Plenty of room for the tools in there. And we are packed.
Welcome to the electric car of the future, sponsored by the gasoline producers of America.
Hello, I'm an electric car. I can't go very fast or very far.
Car is charged up, 97%. That didn't work. Car is charged up, 97%, 450 kilometers of range against 230 for the trip.
Come on, let's go and do it again. Well, now swing me on the way. Come on, let's go, little darling. Come on, let's go once more again. Well, I love you so, and I'll never let you go. Come on, baby, let's go. Oh, pretty baby, I love you so well. Come on, let's go, little sweetheart. Now that we can always be together, come on, let's go and do it again.
All right, we're pulling into our first charging stop in Keith, South Australia. Well, the chargers look to be working. No one's here, so hopefully things will go quickly. We arrived.
Yeah.
Oops.
I know you're excited.
There's absolutely no way you could possibly back up a car without the cameras, right? No one ever packed up, and no one ever reversed a car before the cameras were invented.
No one ever had a camera shoved in front of their face while they try to drive before.
Drive with 37%, 150 kilometers remaining, and an average of 20.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers.
There we go. Charging.
Fly and break, went in, used the restrooms, grabbed some snacks. According to the receipt, we are charging for 16 minutes, and we went from, I can't even remember where we were at, like 36, 37, 38.
Yeah.
Now up to 81% with 365 kilometers of range expected. So yeah, it's not like the charging stop really cost us any time because we weren't sitting around and waiting or anything. We just, literally went in, grabbed some stuff, and by the time we were done, it was all set to go.
Moving, just keep moving till I don't know what to say.
Here we are in Horsham, 107 kilometers left, 29% battery, 21.3 kilowatt hours per 100. Alright, so learn a little bit of a lesson here. Without realizing it, plugged our car into the 50 kilowatt chargers. Things were running a little bit slowly, we noticed when we went to get dinner, but now figured out, now moved over to 350 kilowatt ones, and things are moving a lot faster now. It's now the second day of the trip. Got to our hotel in Shepparton really late last night. It's kind of an entertaining trip as, let's see, finished at the hotel with about 9% battery remaining. I think it was something like 30 so kilometers of range. Had an unexpected detour due to road construction that was kind of worrying us a little bit. Had to do a little bit of battery saving action, turn off the heater, which was fun when it's running between 9 and 10 degrees out.
I'm not tired. I'm not tired at all.
Whew, glad that wasn't us.
But we got there all right. The place, they let us plug in the car to charge it up a little bit overnight via the level 1 charger. Went from about 9% up to 26% in it was probably about 7 hours of charging, which is all right. And now we're in town, going to get some breakfast, charging on a local 50 kilowatt, which yeah, should get us just enough range to move on to our next destination. Took about an hour. We're now back, charged up to 82% and ready to move on.
She complicated and left me a mule to ride. She complicated and left me a mule to ride. Yeah, my baby complicated, left me a mule to ride.
All right, 20-minute. Yep, hi. 20-minute stop there. Went in, used the restroom, grab a coffee and a drink and such. Walked back to the car. We're now at 88% with an estimated 318 kilometers. Moving on to the next stop. Here we are, about 26 kilometers away from our next charging stop in Tarcata. The little red coil in the battery indicator there suggests that the car has now entered its battery preconditioning mode, where it warms up the battery, gets it up to its optimal temperature for charging, so that as soon as you plug the car in, it can jump up to its max charging speed and get you out of there that much sooner.
Goulburn. It should be, well, it's probably that one.
With today's modern cars, you can't get lost. What with all the silicon chips and such.
Alright, so one thing I kind of really appreciate about the EV6 and the way its systems work is the way it handles the blind spot monitoring system. Notice that when we're passing a vehicle, when it's in your blind spot, we've got light that comes on the mirror there, as well as it also displays a warning on your driver display down here, as well as on the HUD. And what's more, we've also got, when you put on your turn signal, it actually shows a display on your instrument panel here, showing the camera view of your blind spot. No Tesla has a similar feature, but it actually displays that image down here on the center screen. So you have to be looking down and away from your mirrors in the road in order to utilize it, whereas this is much closer to your natural line of sight. One thing I don't quite appreciate enough as much is the car's got an automatic wipers, and it's just a little bit too aggressive. Looking through the windshield now, you can see we've just got the tiniest little bit of mist on the windscreen now. Not enough to really block vision, but yet it still decides to automatically wipe. However, one feature that gets complained about a lot online is that the EV6 and some of its eGMP twins do not have a rear wiper on it at all. And I found that it's not really necessary. If I had been driving, say, my Skoda station wagon in rainy conditions like this, there'd be a constant spray circling back up onto the rear window. But because of the aerodynamics of the EV6, that spray doesn't end up getting on the window at all. So yeah, I can see perfectly fine now without it. It's also got automatic headlight dimming, and most of the time it works all right, but when you get a car way off into the distance, it can get a little bit confused, particularly if the car is bouncing on a bumpy road. The headlights pop up and down, which changes the brightness, and then the system will keep turning the bright lights on and off, which causes people to start flashing you back because they think you're flashing at them. And eventually I just turned that system off. That's an issue that I've had with just about every car I've ever driven with that feature. So our next stop off at Gold Barn didn't go perfectly well. Honestly, it's probably the first time we've actually had any issues with charging on this trip. One of the 350s was out of service, and there was people waiting on the other ones. So we had to wait probably about 10 minutes or so for one of them to open up. Then we plugged into the 350, started up just fine, ran up to 240 kilowatts. Did that for about 5 minutes, and then the thing just shut off. So we've decided we have enough charge. We'll move on to the next station, see if we can get better results there. All right, so following our issues at Gold Barn with charging, we moved on to the next major 350 kilowatt spot. Fortunately, there was a bit of a line, a bit of a wait, probably about 15 minutes for a spot to open up, but now we're charging again, and this might even be enough to get us all the way to our destination for the night, which would be quite nice. Let's see, but one of the advantages of sitting in line and waiting is you get to talk with other EV owners about our experiences, kind of get a bit of a fraternity going here of, people all kind of sharing in the learning, the early adopter stuff. So it's not all bad having to wait a little bit.
Cashing in my banner. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they'd just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your ghost. No!
Don't worry, I've got an ace up my sleeve. Now to absorb some local color through the magic of AM radio.
The book of Revelations tells us to watch for the 7 signs of evil.
Wait, sign of evil number 4.
Continuing our sign of evil countdown, here's Vanessa Williams.
Okay, what station number is this, Margot?
4505.
Okay, so I go on my app. And 4505. Okay, so both of them are available. Yep, lift it up and out. There you go.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit unwieldy. So match up in there. Yep, that's it. Get a good shove. Oh, there you go. And see, it says plug connected. So press start. Then we wait.
So we've been charging for about 13 minutes. Our battery is now up to 81%. Going to be heading out in a moment here, but as you can see, the charging speed starts to drop off pretty quickly once you get above about 80% battery. So oftentimes it's faster in terms of total travel time to just charge less and stop more often, rather than trying to go to the full 100% and trying to get a little bit further on each charge. up and started charging now here at Port Macquarie. We did have a few issues at first where I'd plug it in and we'd start the charger, and then payment would be accepted and everything, and then it would immediately cut off. The charging would be failed. I tried it one more time, plugged it in and everything, and I could hear the clicking sound of the lock trying to work inside the plug in the car here, and it just wasn't connecting. So we tried it one more time. This time I actually grabbed the charger and held it in place. And this time it worked. So I suspect what was happening is because we're parked over to the side here, the weight of the cable was pulling the charging plug to the side just a little bit so the lock wouldn't engage, which is why the charging failed. So just holding it in place, making it nice and firm until the lock is clicked into place, got the charging working this time. Pointing out some of the advantages of the 800 volt architecture in the EV6. We've got next to us a Hyundai Kona electric charging. They were here when we arrived. See, we plugged in with about 30% battery. They had about 45 at the time when we plugged in. We've got a much bigger battery pack, so more charging needs to be done. We're now ready to go at 92%. According to the screen on their charger, they're still at about 70%. So like I said, we've charged up quite a bit faster and ready to go quite a bit faster. So yeah, that 800 volts really does make a difference. I just thought I'd take a moment to review some of the driving assist features. So of course, being a modern car, the EV6 does come with an adaptive cruise control. In stop and go traffic, it'll bring the vehicle to a complete stop. Also got a lane keep assist and a lane keep warning system that will, you can see I'm letting go on this corner here. The car is steering itself, keeping itself pretty well in the middle of the lane. It might occasionally get a little bit of ping-ponging side to side depending on the shape of the corner and such. Here in Australia, we don't get the HDA2 system, Highway Driving Assist 2 system that's used in the US and Europe and other countries. I'm not sure if it's a right-hand versus left-hand drive thing, or maybe it's just not optimized for Australian roads. Most of the drive assists are controlled by actual buttons here on the steering wheel. None of having to, say, go in and dig into sub-menus within the touchscreen while you're driving. So if you do, say, find yourself on a narrow country road with ill-defined lane marking, that's not the place to be trying to dig in through a sub-menu to turn off the system. All you need to do is just press and hold the button for a second, and the systems go off. I think it reinforces the importance of physical controls for a good driver interface with a vehicle.
So go on, just walk away. Go on, your choice is made. Go on, disappear. Go on, away from here. Now I was wrong when I said it was true, that it couldn't be me and be her in between without you.
All right, just arrived at Tyndale, 30% battery, 107 kilometers. You may see a bit of a pattern in the way we plan things to run to the next stop at about this point. Relatively small issue with charging at this location because the internet signal is pretty poor out here for our phones, and the apps don't really work that well. It took a bit I had to create a hotspot with my phone, which gets very slightly better reception, and 4 or 5 tries to finally get it to connect to get the charger starting. This might be one of the situations where having some of the RFID pass cards pre-made would have been useful, but we've got it working now, so head in, grab some lunch, and then move on.
Your life
charging, particularly in urban areas, is that, you know, sometimes you might have to wait a little bit, but the guy in the BYD there, he's running about 90% battery now, so hopefully they will be back very shortly and we can get it charging and go. Our spot, we're right next to this pillar here. It makes it a little bit difficult to get in and out of the car, but Key has thought of that. So if we take the key, just press the lock button, and then hold the start button for a moment. And I press the forward button. Drives itself out.
How was it, Margo?
Scary.
Did you have fun though?
Yeah, fun.
Define fun.
Oh, this looks like fun. A bench.
The one who's leaving you. Same mistakes. I can make them you. Yes, I'm letting my feet now. There's a little of me, but I don't know where. I'm too young to quit now. I'm too young to quit, but I gotta get it clean. Is it real for you? Like it's real for me. I've been walking, it's a bad just looking now, yeah. Baby, is this how you feel?
LED ambient lighting running along the dash and then down through the center console and the door bins. That's changeable through lots of different options or tied to drive mode. Pressing the drive mode button adjusts through 3 main driving modes. You can see how the instrument panel here changes its theme based on which one you choose. Standard reversing camera with lines that adjust. We've got the overhead view with lines that show where your tires are going to go, as well as a 360 degree. Of course, we've got ultrasonic sensors in front and behind the car, something that a certain prominent electric car company has decided to do without recently. The side view mirrors, either just the left one or both, depending on how you have your settings. Automatic dip when you put the car in reverse. Hold on just a moment. Stop. Wait.
While I held you with our undressed, happy years passed by. It's okay to cry after all. In the end,
Seed pods like in the episode of Bluey where the kids use them to mark out their territory in the game.
Ooh, prefab concrete.
Highlights of risk right here.
taught us how to smile. After all, in the end, just pretend there's a name that plays in my
Cruise control, my man.
Bart? Cruise control, my good man.
All right, holiday is finished. We are leaving the Gold Coast now. Unfortunately, our usual charging point, we had a Tesla that was already in place using it. There's also a Mercedes EV waiting in line there, and nowhere in the car park to stop and wait. So we moved on to another charger, 50 kilowatt EV. So at a local higher end shopping center. So went in, had a very nice breakfast while the car charged, and we're now at 91%, ready for 350 kilometers of range on a roughly 200 kilometer leg to our next stop.
Listen to that baby roar.
Listen to it roar.
Amazing.
Just gonna need a hearing aid after that.
I know.
We've got a fairly decent navigation system. I believe it's TomTom based. Let's see, EV mode screen has a handy little display of your range, where the nearest EV chargers are. Also, it'll give you your range with the air conditioner heater on and off. This also has a wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, apparently, the Hyundai Group has recently announced that wireless will shortly be available on newer cars. They have solved the licensing issue that's been kept deactivated, and that it'll even become available on some newer vehicles via an update. So we're hoping that that'll appear on this one shortly. A little voice memo allowing you to record your $1 million ideas when you're in traffic, and then go back and review them and realize how dumb they were.
Note for later. Put rubber spider down Lisa's dress.
Climate controls in this setting. So we got a fancy little display with the temperature adjustments here. If you want to use it via that option, but I usually prefer just the secondary screen down here, a little bit more direct. The radio. Now this is something that's becoming increasingly difficult to find in EVs, particularly AM radio.
They even make it look old. Look at that.
Yeah, even looking like it's got tubes and such. Can turn on USB music or USB video, which isn't active right now because we don't have a USB plugged in, and also we're driving, but that's really nice when you're standing still, maybe if you have to wait to charge for a little bit. Then we've got something called Sounds of Nature. Rainy day. Now, it used to be that these Sounds of Nature tracks were purely just the sound, so the rainy day would just be the sound of rain. However, via a recent update, they kind of added this sort of new agey light music to the background. I actually preferred these sounds without the music behind it. So it'd be nice if they reintroduced the original system. Just have it as an option, whether you want the music or not. Then we have quiet mode. This is a useful feature in that, say you've got a couple of kids in the back seat that are trying to sleep. What it does is it limits the volume of the stereo system, as well as reverting all the sound to just coming out the front speakers. The view mode is this, utility mode, which we can't activate right now because we're driving, but what that does is it allows you to operate things like the climate control system, the stereo, the infotainment system. It operates it off the large traction battery rather than the little 12-volt battery to keep it from being drained. So if, say, you were maybe car camping overnight in the cold weather, you could actually use your big traction battery to power the heater to stay comfortable all night using utility mode. It's up here. You can see the little cutout for the driver's what they call augmented reality HUD, heads-up display. So it displays more than just your speed. It can also display driving directions and other general information. Then we have this kind of nice textured dash with this kind of sporty stripe graphic. This appears on the GT line models. And then the design is, of course, mimicked on the center console here. Then we've got a pair of cup holders that work good for kind of typical coffee cups. Little general storage area on the back. We've got a wireless phone charger right here in the middle. It's easy to access. It also holds your phone really, really well. Then we've got various buttons for, say, for turning on your reversing cameras and the like, which you can do when you're driving, which is kind of an interesting view. Got auto hold functions, and then of course we've got the automatic parking functions, which show you a little video of that. It'd be much faster to do it myself, but this is still cool.
Why do it yourself in the cockpit?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, not brilliant, but. And we've got this nice little, let's see, painted, unfortunately not real, but painted plastic brushed aluminium. And it might be tough to see in there, but we've got this nice kind of textured design and feel on it, makes it more real. Then at the front here, we've got some actual buttons for the ventilated seats, which are extremely nice in the summertime here, particularly here in Australia. These ventilated seats is probably the main reason why we decided to go for the GT line rather than the standard Air model. Then we've also got heated seats and a heated steering wheel as well. Now this is a unique feature of Kia, and they've got this little capacitive display touch panel here. That, you can see, it's clearly set for adjusting the HVAC system. So we've got temperature adjustment knobs, which are nice, really easy to use compared to some of the touchscreen only systems. And we've got your defrost and various climate settings and auto climate, and then temperature, button to turn the heater on and off, which is nice particularly if you have to save energy, AC, and various other modes. But the particular party trick of this platform is that if we just touch the little button here, it switches, and now it's controlling the infotainment system. So we've got your volume knob over here, your scrolling knob over here, and then we've got shortcuts for the map, the nav, little star one, which in this set is brings you straight to the phone menu. Now, some people have criticized this feature for the fact that you always have to double check and see what system you're on. However, there's another little trick here where if you press and hold this button for a moment,
I didn't know that.
You can set the system to default to whichever form you want. So right now it's set to off, it just goes to whichever one you want, but you can set it to infotainment, in which case when you switch to the heater, you don't use it for a few minutes or a few seconds, it automatically switches back. We have got an absolutely massive glove box, a lit door pocket down here that can handle a pretty big water bottle. Down below this floating center console, we have a big storage bin that's holding up a lot of the junk that ordinarily would be rolling around at my feet, being super annoying. Then down in front we have a USB-A port. That's the data port for the machine, so that's what you would use to plug in, say, a USB stick for media options, as well as plugging in your phone for the wired CarPlay and Android Auto. We've also got a USB-C port, and then down at the front here we've got another USB-C port and the 12-volt outlet. We've got this kind of brushed aluminium accent speaker cover. This is for the upgraded Meridian surround speaker system. I think that's 14 speakers total. This is making for absolutely riveting YouTube content.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
Charged up to 99%, about 400 Ks of range, just short of that. So yeah, we should be set for quite a while.
Look, they have pizza and coffee here. Hot damn, let's stay.
Oh, Omara, I get it now.
What were you saying?
Omara.
Omara, like an Irish name.
between Tyndale and Armadale. Quite rough, a bit of a test.
Whoa! Far out! Is everyone okay? Oh boy.
Bit of a crest there. But yeah, kind of a rough, patchy country road and such. Real good test of the car's suspension, and it's, you know, it planted this on the road, and it's been doing extremely well. While you feel the bumps and the body definitely moves around, it's not, it doesn't feel like it's out of control. It doesn't feel like it's bouncing and skipping over the bumps like a vehicle can if it's over suspended or under damped. You know, it's one of the advantages of the EV6's Australian tuned suspension, a testament to Kia's willingness to invest in a small market that, you know, for only 500 cars in the first year, they bother to make it work with Australian roads.
Downtown Tamworth.
Yeah, now we're charging up for our next leg. We came to the free NRMA charger here on the edge of town. It's a fairly slow, only a 40 kilowatt charger, but within easy walking distance of several cafes and kind of the main street downtown, so at least there's stuff to do.
Oh, the bases were empty on the diamond of my heart when the coach called me up to the plate. I'd been swinging and missing at loving and kissing. My average was .008. So I spit on my hands, knocked the dirt from my spikes.
We were expecting it to be kind of, you know, quiet and everything. It's early on a Sunday morning, but quite the opposite. We happened to arrive on one of their bazaar days, so a whole main street had vendors up and down the sides. Got some used clothing, looked at some knickknacks, got a bit of coffee, and now it's time to move on.
Now I found a reason, I struck on a love that is true. I used to play the field.
All right, so we're still in Tamworth, and even though we got our car pretty well fully charged at our last stop for free over at the NRMA charger, we decided, for the sake of content and because of, you know, nothing YouTube likes better than a little bit of controversy, to give a shot at the Tamworth Tesla chargers, which, as I understand it, is one of the 5 Tesla charging stations in Australia that are open to non-Tesla vehicles. So, first little trick is that, let's see, as you can see, because of where our charger is located on the vehicle, we couldn't actually park in one of the Tesla bays. We had to park in an adjacent bay because Tesla charging cables are quite a bit shorter than average. Yeah, a little giggle there on that comment.
Hey, what's so funny? Oh, Marge, grow up.
It looks similar.
Yeah, I think one of them is just a Type 2 and the other one is a full CCS.
Now what?
Well, now you need to go up there and scan the instructions and download the app and set up an account and everything else.
Yeah.
All right, charge your non-Tesla. Get the app. App is all downloaded. Everybody wave hi to Elon, watching us in the camera now.
Charge your non-Tesla. While using, let's see. Yep. Charge here. Okay, we are in 2B. Payment method.
Yep. Have to add in our account information. Now, broadly, it will be nice when Tesla's network is more broadly available in Australia, just as a backup. But as of right now, it really isn't the best option for you if you have something else. The Tesla's networks, first off, it is the most expensive way to charge your EV here in Australia. It also is not particularly fast because only the V2 versions of the chargers are available so far, which is limited to about 120 kilowatts. Here in Tamworth, we're at a kind of a sports club in the middle of a residential area. There isn't a whole lot else to do while you're waiting to charge, whereas that...
Well, you could fawn over your Tesla and like feel like, oh my God, I love my Tesla.
You could sit...
Elon Musk is God.
You could create YouTube content. All right, you selected it. Hit start charging maybe again.
Oh, there. Got something on the screen now.
All right, you can see we're running up. We're hitting, yeah, it's successful. We're charging. We're running just short of 100 kilowatts. Yeah.
I like this screen actually, like as much as I hate to say it.
So, yeah, it works.
Gonna da. Best.
You should be ashamed.
I am not ashamed.
Hey, wait! They're turning off! They're turning off!
Unfortunately, the NRMA charger here is in use by a BYD. So, but in the same car park are a bunch of Tesla chargers, and it looks like non-Tesla vehicles are allowed to charge here. Now, checking the prices, it is really expensive to charge here on these Tesla chargers. All right, so it's going pretty slowly, only about just under 100 kilowatts, but that'll be enough. We got an alert that there's been an error and our car had stopped charging. A little bit of issue here charging on the Tesla system, but we've got enough now. So you can see one thing this EV6 platform has going for it is absolutely massive rear space. Just for the sake, you know, a standard water bottle, I've got a huge amount of space. The seat itself is comfortable. We've got adjustable reclining. We've got a nice little bottle storage area here lit up. We've got air vents in the B pillars. A USB-C port in the back of the seats rather than down here. In the middle, we've got fold down armrest with a couple more cup holders. Good for bottles in there. And as Mario was showing you, yep, you can also slide it back and use it for a little storage cubby. These seat backs are kind of a fairly hard plastic, which might be uncomfortable having your knees pressed up against them. Fortunately, you've got tons of space, so that's not really an issue. There isn't a ton of toe room underneath the seats in front, however. And the last thing is, once again, because of this low ceiling, the back seat here is a little bit low to the floor, so you kind of end up with a bit of a knees in the air seating position, legs slightly up a bit.
Glenn?
Moon's still not high enough. If he could just wait a couple of minutes.
How am I doing? Got it. And we're getting a picture on the TV. A fair amount of detail.
Hey, Mr. Tesla behind us, you better not be heading to the same charger we are.
I literally just said that like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, but now it's on video. So it's important and it exists now.
Right.
Oh, no, you don't! That trampoline is mine!
Came into the town of Parks to charge up for our last leg into our night stay in Wagga Wagga. And unfortunately, this produced kind of our first major delay we've had. Not because of any actual charger problems, just a fact there was a significant line for the first time yet. Kind of a bit of a nuisance, but the fact that we're nearly done with this massive road trip, almost, what, 4,500 Ks so far, and this is the first major delay we've experienced, says that, yeah, we're probably doing pretty good. All right, we're finally done charging here at Parks, ready for the long slog to Wagga Wagga. Let's see, I was beginning to get a little bit worried here because our Nintendo Switch, the battery was starting to get low and I didn't have a charging cable for it. And then I remembered that one of the special things about the Kia EV6 is this little feature called the vehicle to load. And it's essentially, I don't know how well you can see it there, a 240 volt plug on both the interior. There's also one on the exterior via an adapter that allows you to plug in 240 volt appliances, so we can use the regular wall charger to keep the Switch all charged up, to keep the kids happy, and well, okay, to be honest, it was to keep me happy sitting in the back seat here. I don't know if you'll be able to see my breath in this video, but it's an astoundingly cold morning here in Wagga Wagga.
Walla Walla, Keokuk, Cucamonga, Seattle.
One of the nice features a lot of EVs have is they have apps that you can use to preheat the vehicle. Unfortunately, the EV6 in Australia does not have that capability. Not because the car doesn't, but for whatever reason it's just not active in Australia yet. But there is a little trick you can use. So taking out your key fob, if you press the lock button and then press and hold the start button on the front here for a few seconds, it'll turn the ignition on, including your HVAC system, to whatever the prior settings were.
How do we do
They look
the
so
things that
comfortable
we
this
do?
morning.
How can we see a long way from here? I gave you my love, I gave you my life, I gave you my mind, and all I get in return is a heavy dose of your lies.
NRMA chargers, they're free. They cover a lot of kind of small and mid-sized rural towns that the major commercial companies don't have operations in. So yeah, without these chargers we wouldn't have been able to come this route on the way back.
Stand up and shout, who's got God? And all I can feel is a heavy load, slipping and sliding down this uphill road. But inside of me burns a flame of blue and gold. Remember one thing, your story has never been told. And I sing
back into the main highways again, back at Barnawartha. This proper 350 kilowatt charger should go pretty quick, a lot quicker than the 50 kilowatt ones we've been dealing with for the past couple of days. But unfortunately a little less scenic out here on the Hume Highway.
Chewing on a piece of grass, walking down the road. Tell me how long you're gonna stay, Joe. Some people say this town don't look good in snow. Oh, you don't care, I know. Ventura Highway in the sunshine, where the days are longer, nights are stronger than moonshine. You're gonna go, I know.
We're in Horsham, second to last charging stop probably. Being a cold morning and the fact that we came from pretty much straight from our hotel here, battery didn't really have much of a chance to warm up. So we're running pretty slow, only about 75 kilowatts.
Falls on the empty halls of my old school, where the memories fade like the
left Victoria back in South Australia, and did the air get a little less convicty?
Really cool. Pretty settled.
Got any fruits or vegetables? Hey, Mr. Wembley, it happened again. My worry hasn't been that long. The whistle keeps on blowing, but that shield's long gone. His empty frame cannot explain. There's nothing left inside.
All right, here we are in Keith, South Australia. Hopefully the last charging stop of the trip. If everything works out here, then I think we can call this whole long road trip EV experiment a pretty solid success. All it takes is a little bit of planning and some patience. Spent some 5,000 Ks sitting in these seats here, and I can comment that they've worked pretty well. I'm not too tired, not too sore. They're covered in this kind of faux suede material. It kind of combines the best elements of cloth and semi-leather in there. It's kind of perforated for the heated and ventilated seats. We've got electric adjustability. Let's see, there's electric lumbar support, and then a little party trick here they call premium relaxation seats. Press the button twice once to make sure you're clear. It gives you a nice pleasant place to lie back, have a bit of a break, relax while you're waiting for the car to charge or just waiting for anything in general. And in fact, while we're waiting,
Speedway Squad, in color.
watch a little bit of Simpsons while we're waiting.
Oh, hey, then maybe I haven't been got my hideous drunken wreck.
Hello?
Adelaide on a plane far from the United States of LA, dropping in from outer space. Takes a day, now I see the bogans at the motor race. Here you know the world can turn or crash and burn, and you would never know it. Going where the air is clear, there's better beer in Adelaide.
All right, so we arrived home with 33% battery at 16,697 kilometers on the Odo. So I think that's a little more than 5,000 Ks all up. Now everyone's favorite part of the trip, unloading the car and cleaning up and doing laundry and
Uh-oh, sorry. Let me just get my girlfriend and I'll go. Hey, Crystal, wake up!